A new form of CTE just dropped. We got medieval slapbox. Bro, they throwing them bitch. Bro, where does it end? Bro, why we keep making new sports? This might be the crazy. Bro, these dudes work regular. Bro, did he just go get two? Does this shit pay you enough to do this full time? Telling me you got to do this on Saturday and by Monday you got to go work in HVAC. You are an accountant. You tore your meniscus and you concussed in a 17-piece pot set. You out here dressed in a microwave, bro. What the? Come on, bro. Knee to the face while you wearing a frying pan is crazy. Dudes in the medieval ages just had to do this shit because it was Tuesday. Oh shit, bro, is that a medieval grit? Bro, go back. I had to wake up and do this shit because the Lord of our land says so, bro. Fuck it. Bro, what is this? You got to go work a regular job after this. You a 5th grade social studies teacher, bro. You ultra concussed. You got medieval CTE, bro. You about to go in there and cuss at them kids. Bending elbow to the dome while you wearing an air fryer to protect your skull is bound to make you forget some shit. Shit is bound to rearrange your memory. Sitting here kind of questioning the legality of this, bro. Is this shit allowed? Bro, who's sanctioning this? This should be happening. I want to go see this. Bro, hold on, they took a knee. They finna get. Hold on. What the f? Out there drunk, concussed, and injured, just fighting for their life. Do shit like this, and then gotta go be a dad later. Like, bro, what?
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Once again, thank you for joining me here for Conversations with Taz. Talk about it Tuesday. Yeah. Starting off strong. Cause yeah, why not catch a concussion while wearing teapot? Gives a whole new meaning to a sport of tea, doesn't it, lovely? Doesn't it, Gobna? Just a tiny spot of tea with a bit of being concussed. Just keeping it spicy. Just keeping it a tad bit spicy. Um there's so much to get into tonight. And let's start with quite an unfortunate situation. Um Multiple victims after fatal shooting at star-studded opening of Nipsey Hussle's new Marathon Burger store. One person has died after a shooting at a restaurant opening. There were early reports of multiple victims following the deadly incident in Long Beach, California, after police were called just after 3:30 p.m. The incident took place at the grand opening of a new Marathon Burger, a franchise launched in honor of rapper Nipsey Hussle, who envisioned the business. Snoop Dogg was one of the famous faces at the event. 3 men in their 20s were rushed to the hospital from the scene near Broadway and Pine Avenue, one of whom later died. How the shooting unfolded is not yet unclear. Long Beach Police Department is investigating. Around 50 to 60 people were waiting in line outside the restaurant when the shots rang out. Witness Tyree Bailey told KTLA. So, y'all can just allow people to be honored. Everything doesn't have to be about you. Everything does not have to be about you. And before we go on any further, because it is Talk About It Tuesday, darlings. Just because you have put yourself in a space where Black men are does not mean that you are not anti-Black. You can be pro-Black man fetish and completely anti-Black woman. If you have to create a look at me, remember that I am the default damsel in distress moment, every time you feel like a melanated madame is getting attention, you are not deconstructing. You haven't even stepped in the direction of deconstruction. You haven't. You haven't even attempted to do the work. You can try to convince yourself that you have, but you haven't. Nice try, though. Simply putting yourself in proximity to melanated bodies does what? It does not reduce the harm. It increases the harm. And adults, I'm going to need y'all to wake up. I am truly, truly, truly going to need y'all to wake up. And I need you to hear me. In the wake of the Epstein files, people are super heightened to the prevalence of pedophilia. Okay. I think people kind of forget. And I think people kind of forget the gateways towards pedophilia. And there's a lot of conversations that need to be had and a lot of things for all of us to reconcile with in order to move forward in a healthy, productive, safe manner. Now, due to the Epstein files, there has been an uptick in people being reported, people making news cycles. But adults, and specifically, and especially online, I'm going to need y'all to remember two things, especially melanated adults. You all have to stop compartmentalizing things away. You are setting yourself up for failure. I need y'all to remember that the spirit of Carolyn Bryant lives on, even though her body does not. And a minor is a minor is a minor, whether it's online or offline. Do nothing outside of the public view with a minor. And when a minor is showing too much attachment to you, cut it off. Make your block button your strongest button. Okay? Because y'all are looking at little white faces going, oh, my precious, I got to protect you. Why? Because who's going to protect you the moment you don't do something that they don't like? Who's going to protect you the moment that you aren't giving them the attention that they desire, that they require? I see a whole lot of false accusations about to come down the pipeline for a lot of y'all. And unfortunately, the climate that's going on right now, that is a heightened climate that actually we need right now. But people are looking for a sensationalized story and they will make that you. By the time all the chips fall where they may, and even if you get cleared in a court of law, you will never be cleared in the court of public opinion. You won't. Moving on. Judge Cannon permanently seals Jack Smith's final report, barring Bondi and DOJ from ever releasing Mar-a-Lago findings. A federal judge on Monday issued a permanent injunction barring the Department of Justice from releasing the final investigative report by former special counsel Jack Smith regarding President Donald Trump's handling of classified documents. The ruling by U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon effectively ends a high-stakes legal battle over the public's right to know the details of the investigation into the president's alleged hoarding of sensitive national defense records at his Mar-a-Lago estate. I mean, Mar-a-Lago business. Properly name things. Y'all claim that y'all were not pro-Trump, but y'all sure do buy into his rhetoric and use it. The order prevents Attorney General Pam Bondi and any future successors from ever disclosing the second volume of Smith's findings. So he's guilty. Because anytime there's any type of legal proceeding and you are like, oh, he's exonerated, see, you all never want us to see the evidence. If he's so innocent, show us. In a scathing 15-page decision, Judge Cannon characterized the potential release of the report as manifest injustice towards the president and his two former co-defendants, Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira. Cannon, who dismissed the criminal charges in July 2024 on the grounds that Smith's appointment was unconstitutional, argued that the special counsel had no legal authority to even compile the report. Special Counsel Smith, acting without lawful authority, obtained an indictment in this action and initiated proceedings that resulted in a final order of dismissal of all charges, Cannon wrote. The former defendants still enjoy the presumption of innocence held sacrosanct in our constitutional order. The judge further scolded the former special counsel for continuing to work on the report after his initial dismissal order, calling the effort a brazen stratagem and concerning breach of the spirit of the court's earlier rulings. Here's the thing: it is his job. It was his job to put together that report. Win, lose, or draw, he still had to put together the report. Even if he would have lost in court, he still would have had to put together that report. And the court wouldn't have allowed him to file certain things and wouldn't have granted him certain things if his appointment was improper. But this has been petitioned by the court, so it's been appealed to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. So we'll just see. We'll wait and see what they say. Now, since Trump decided to once again go against the Constitution and bippity boppity skippity boo over Congress and do the bidding of BB from Philly, who is still alive, no aircraft carriers belonging to the United States have been sunk. BB from Philly, Netanyahu, has not been murdered. His wife and son are chilling in Florida in a nice little sky-rise condo. But a lot of people on the right-wing side are speaking out against Trump in this decision. They don't like it. They don't like it. They don't like it. And they can't toe the line anymore. There are a lot of hills that people are just, you know what? They're willing to die on them right now. Trump knocks Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly over Iran criticism. MAGA is Trump. And here's the thing. I don't know how many times Trump has to come from Megyn Kelly before she decides to just stop. Like, she continues to make herself look like a plumb damn fool. Hey, she like it. I love it for her. President Trump Sr. and his allies are pushing back on a number of top conservative media figures typically loyal to him who have questioned ongoing U.S. military action in Iran amid fears of a prolonged war in the Middle East. And quick caveat, for those living in the Commonwealth of Kentucky who, because of this conflict, have already lost family members, my sincere condolences are with you. My sincere condolences are with you. I know that everybody is looking at this as humorous and they're just looking at this as numbers and looking at this as brick and mortar buildings and aircrafts and just the items that are being lost and not the people that are contained in them. And to the parents and family members of the young ladies who were bombed in Iran, my condolences are with you also. I have to do what's right, number one, and you can't have Iran getting a nuclear weapon. That's a predominant to me. Trump told the independent journalist Rachel Bade on Monday, but I thought we already successfully quashed their nuclear program. Isn't that what we were told? That all we do is win, 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 no matter what, and we took all of that out? Remember, I had big press conference with the sec of war, and Trump took a victory lap because he was the greatest that ever did it. And I know people are like, well, they're doing this to cover for the Epstein files. Nobody stopped talking about the Epstein files, and all roads don't lead to the Epstein files. Have we forgotten the number one reason why the United States goes into other countries? Natural resources. And what is the one natural resource that we want to take from everybody as soon as we believe that we can? Oil. What two countries have we gotten in the business of lately, had the nerve, the audacity, the unmitigated goal to out-colonize the colonizers by nationalizing their own oil so that they could profit from it and not the U.S.? Oh, Venezuela and Iran. But don't take my word for it. Look and listen. Here comes the mighty information.
The thing is, he's not really wrong.
Some Iranians that did not understand why their parents and grandparents were anti-American. those Iranians will take over. Now they understand why American government is a imperialist, vicious government and a government that attacks other countries and kills little children. They understand they're fighting the Epstein class that either rape little girls or bomb little girls.
You see, this professor was making a point about the fact that younger Iranian people have a different understanding of America than their parents or grandparents. Because this conflict between the US and Iran all started in 1953 when Iran had a democratically elected prime minister named Mohammad Mossadegh. He did something that was common sense, but of course was radical to the colonizers. He nationalized Iran's oil so Iranians could profit from their own resources instead of it getting continued to be exploited by Great Britain. Great Britain had controlled Iran's oil for decades through the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, what later became known as BP Oil. When Mossadegh cut the British off, Britain immediately ran to the US for help. In 1953, the CIA then went undercover, organized and financed Operation Ajax, which was specifically to overthrow Mossadegh. CIA agents posed as communists and threatened religious leaders, and the US ambassador also lied to the Iranian prime minister about alleged attacks on American nationals. Because of the CIA-supported street protests, some 300 Iranian civilians died in the streets of Tehran. The Shah quickly returned to take power, and as thanks for American help, signed over 40% of Iran's oil field to US companies. That same US-backed Shah then ruled as a dictator for the next 25 years, and he also created what was called the Savak, which was his secret police, which killed and imprisoned political protesters around Iran. The crazy part about it is that the US also trained that secret police. The US also armed the Shah by pouring billions of dollars in weapons, and Iranians lived under the US-backed Shah dictatorship for over 26 years between 1953 and 1979. When the Iranian people finally had enough, revolution erupted, and chants of death to America and death to England drew directly on the memory of 1953. This is the part that American media always skips and intentionally rewrites. The revolution wasn't random religious fanaticism. The Iranian Revolution was the inevitable consequence of 26 years of US-backed dictatorship rule. Memories of the US intervention in 1953 intensified the anti-American character of the revolution in the minds of many Iranians. And after the revolution, their new supreme leader came to power, and the US immediately lost its grip on Iranian oil. But by that time in 1980, Iran was weak. The revolution had dismantled the military, and the Iran-Iraq war was just now beginning with the Iraq invasion of Iran in September 22nd, 1980. The United States didn't give a fuck about Iran, but provided them with billions of dollars in economic aid, dual-use technology, intelligence sharing, and special operations training. The goal was only to regain access to Iran's oil by supporting Iraq, who we didn't give a fuck about either. America just jumped on the bandwagon to capitalize on an already weak Iran that was now entering another war. To make matters worse, on July 3rd, 1988, an Iranian civilian passenger plane from Tehran to Dubai was shot down by the US. All 290 Iranian civilians on board were killed, and the US never formally apologized, and as a matter of fact, the officer in command was later even given a fucking medal. The pattern is clear. In 1953, the US overthrows Iran's democracy for oil. For 26 years after that, the US then funds Iran's dictator and his secret police who represses the Iranian people. In 1979, the Iranian people finally have enough, revolt to take their country back, which the US doesn't like. In 1980 to 1988, the US then funds Iran's enemy to overthrow Iran again. In 1988, we shoot down their civilian plane, never apologize, and actually award the general who did it with a fucking medal. And in 2020, Trump orders a drone strike, assassinates Iran's most celebrated military general Soleimani, which the UN rules as unlawful, and then when Iran retaliates, they were immediately called terrorists. Fast forward to 2026, when Trump assassinates their literal supreme leader, high-ranking military officials, and hundreds of their civilians, and yet they're still the bad guys? Mind you, Trump told ABC News that the US had already picked who would replace Iran's government, but they died in the strikes too, saying, quote, "The attack was so successful it knocked out most of the candidates. They're all dead." None of this is self-defense, and all of this was regime change. It's the same shit that they did in 1953, just with bigger bombs. And of course, American media plays Iranian people in the streets, chanting death to America on loop to propagandize and justify America for attacking Iran more. That's what the fuck is happening.
Now that you have that context, let's continue on with this article. The president said former Fox News hosts Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly, both of whom have publicly broken with him over U.S. military operations in Iran, do not represent the view among his base of supporters. I think that MAGA is Trump. MAGA's not the other two, Trump said, adding of Kelly specifically that she was critical of me for years and I didn't lose. I won all 3 times by a lot. MAGA wants to see our country thrive and be safe, he continued. And MAGA loves what I'm doing, every aspect of it. This is a detour that we have to take in order to keep our country safe and keep other countries safe, frankly. His way of thinking with this is like saying, you know what, to keep my neighborhood safe, I'm going to go across the street and set my neighbor's house on fire. So, but anything for oil. And no, gas prices have gone up. Dion Cole received death threats after jokes about Nicki Minaj MAGA. Racial epithets were also used against the comedian in social media posts. Of course. Comedian Dion Cole didn't disappoint with his jokes and commentary about recording artist Nicki Minaj have led to death threats and insults levied against the former Blackish star and Old Spice pitchman, all hip hop reports. Here's the thing. Nicki Minaj sycophants, you can be a fan of whoever you want. Big fan, little fan, casual fan, staunch fan, know everything about the person fan. But this obsession with trying to force people to like who you like is beyond weird. It is beyond weird. People can criticize your favorite. And what gets me about fandoms like the Barbs is that y'all will talk shit about every other artist, every other person, every other fandom, but you don't want anybody to say anything about her when she does things that are going to provoke conversations. Like she gets hopped up on the booger sugar and goes over and goes live on Twitter. I want you to think about why she decides to go on Twitter, where the one place where you go live and your face isn't shown. She's gotten y'all to commit felonies in her name. She done sold herself out. She does not see herself as white, and as black. She has convinced LGBTQI to fight for her, and she would not piss on y'all if y'all were on fire. She surrounds herself with pedophiles. But, whatever. While hosting the 2026 NAACP Image Awards on March 1st, Cole took aim at the Queens rapper who had been seen at recent MAGA-related affairs, even cozying up to President Donald Trump. Lord, we want to bless our sister Nicki Minaj, Cole said. She's been going through a lot lately and hasn't been herself, Lord. I believe whatever's in her body is affecting her brain, Lord. Although it drew applause from the crowd online, it was a different story. It seems the Barbs and MAGA enthusiasts were none too pleased. In an Instagram post, Cole collected a number of responses and threats from some of the people and posted them to his account. The comedian posted responses that called him the N-word. But what happened to it's just jokes? Why can't people take a joke anymore? Like when actual comedians are doing actual jokes, y'all get upset and want to take it racist. But I thought we weren't a racist country anymore. I thought the racism died. All of Cole's jabs weren't directed at Minaj and MAGA. Dion Cole, and I don't know what. Okay, it's something in her body. He. Never mind. Dion Cole commented on the recent British Academy of Film and Television Arts, BAFTAs, controversy with John Davidson, the Tourette syndrome activist who shouted the N-word while Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo were on stage presenting an award. Making light of the situation that has been in the news lately, he warned that if anyone has Tourette's, they better read the room tonight, absolutely. Absolutely. And cute caveat that all these people, they're like, don't apologize for being you. Nobody told Davidson to apologize for being him or living with a disability. So y'all were just saying that you'll excuse racism. Now, closing out for the night, Rachel Cashel slams Thomas Massey for alleged ties to Soros. State Representative Rachel Cashel, Republican out of 17, is calling Representative Thomas Massey, Republican out of Kentucky, the messiah of the Trump derangement syndrome cult on X after the Kentucky congressman's alleged connections to left-wing businessman and philanthropist George Soros was recently uncovered. Y'all clamor for a position at the Heritage Foundation. But y'all done made George Soros the boogeyman of everything. For the amount of money y'all say that this man gives away, how do y'all proclaim that Elon Musk is the richest man on the planet? And y'all don't have a problem with Elon Musk paying for, well, trying to pay for elections, but I digress. For context, ex-user Apple Lamps shared a post that the National Iranian American Council, a political action committee, a PAC, that, as described in their post, is widely viewed as the de facto Iran lobby in Washington, D.C., due to its history of lobbying for stances on behalf of and aligned with the Islamic Republic of Iran. User Data Republican replied to the post, writing, "Wait until you dig into Quincy Institute, which promoted Apple Lamps to share footage of Representative Massey speaking at Quincy Institute event on December 4th, 2025, in acceptance of the Institute's annual award for responsible statecraft. Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat out of California, also received the award." Politico indicate that George Soros is, in fact, the co-founder of the Quincy Institute, with co-founder billionaire Charles Koch, who is generally associated with fundraising conservative and libertarian causes. So it's a bipartisan thing. And I know you're wondering, like, why are they making a big deal about George Soros and Thomas Massey is a Republican? Now, I know people love to say that, oh, you're Republican, you're conservative. Conservative is an ideology. Republican is a political party. There are also libertarians within the Republican Party. If you want a breakdown of all of that, I have a whole series on my Substack. Link is in the bio. If you're not upset when somebody is breaking the law with their money, don't be upset on the other side. But there is really no other side. Like, the projection is ridiculous for all of the things that everybody claims that George Soros is paying for. How do y'all with a straight face proclaim that Elon Musk is the richest man on the planet? George Soros would have to be the richest man on the planet for all of the people that y'all claim he is funding, for all of the organizations y'all claim that he is funding straight out of his pocket, for all of the lives y'all claim he is sustaining. He would have to be the richest man on the planet by 3 or 4 times over in order to do all of these things. Like, you got to come back down to reality. You got to. You really, really got to. I guess. Well, that does it for our inaugural comeback show for Conversations with Taz. I will see you all on Thursday, and we will take it to our normal hour. But today has been a doozy. We've had news going full circle, virtually nonstop since 10 a.m. Eastern time. So you go get some food and some rest. Wash your ass if you didn't earlier. And I'm going to go prepare for tomorrow. I will see y'all in the morning. Till then. You're listening to GCPR, the heartbeat of the World Wide Web. From the morning commute to the late night grind, we're right there with you. But we're more than just music and news. We're a platform for the voices that make this community move. Does your business have a story to tell? Because we have the ears you want to reach. From live remotes at your front door to digital campaigns that follow our listeners wherever they go, GCPR Radio connects you to the people who matter most, your neighbors. Let's grow together. Visit us at gcpr.live/advertise-with-us.html. And let's get your brand on the airwaves today. GCPR, where every voice matters.